You've got to be kidding me. Nick Aldis just made the stupidest decision in SmackDown history, and I'm about to expose exactly why this is corporate wrestling politics at its absolute worst. Jacob Fatu, the most dominant force we've seen in years, gets fired for doing what every single one of us wanted to see happen to Drew McIntyre's pompous, self-righteous attitude. Meanwhile, Drew walks around week after week, running his mouth, disrespecting legends, attacking people from behind, and what does he get? A championship opportunity. Make it make sense. This is the kind of backwards, hypocritical garbage that makes fans want to walk away from this company, and if you're as furious as I am right now, you better stick around because we're about to break down every single layer of this corruption. But before we dive into this absolute travesty of justice, do me a favor, if you're tired of corporate WWE protecting their golden boys while burying the real talent, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell. We're building an army of fans who are done with the double standards, and you need to be part of this movement. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next on this channel. Let's talk about what actually happened on SmackDown, because the WWE spin machine is already working overtime to rewrite history and paint Jacob Fatu as some kind of unhinged menace who deserves to be kicked to the curb. Here's the truth, Drew McIntyre has been running his mouth for months. This guy comes out every single week acting like he's God's gift to professional wrestling, talking down to the fans, disrespecting everyone on the roster, claiming he's owed everything just because he exists. Week after week, we've watched Drew interrupt people's promos, attack wrestlers from behind, use weapons when the referee isn't looking, and manipulate every situation to his advantage. He's assaulted referees, he's ignored GM orders, he's done everything that should get someone fired according to Nick Aldis's supposed standards. But does he face any consequences? Does Nick Aldis ever threaten to fire him? Absolutely not. Because Drew McIntyre is one of WWE's chosen ones, and the rules simply don't apply to him. Now let's talk about Jacob Fatu, a beast of a wrestler who brings an intensity and authenticity that this roster desperately needs. This man is culture. He represents a lineage of Samoan wrestling royalty that deserves respect. Jacob Fatu didn't just wake up one day and decide to attack Drew McIntyre for no reason. No, Drew has been poking the bear, disrespecting not just Jacob but his entire family legacy, making snide comments about the Samoan dynasty, acting like he's superior to everyone who's paved the way in this business. So when Jacob Fatu finally had enough and decided to lay hands on Drew McIntyre, he was doing what any self-respecting warrior would do. He defended his honor, his family's name, and quite frankly, he did what the fans have been begging to see for months. We've all wanted someone to shut Drew's mouth, and Jacob delivered. He walked down to that ring and gave Drew exactly what he's been asking for, and the crowd went absolutely insane. The fans were on their feet. They were chanting Jacob's name. Because finally, someone had the guts to stand up to the corporate protected golden boy. And how does Nick Aldis respond? Does he call both men into his office and hand out equal punishment? Does he acknowledge that Drew's actions over the past several months have been just as bad, if not worse? Does he recognize that maybe, just maybe, Drew had this coming? No. Instead, he makes an example out of Jacob Fatu by firing him on the spot. One attack, and Jacob loses his job, while Drew McIntyre's rap sheet of violations is longer than a CVS receipt, and he gets nothing. Let's be crystal clear about what this really is. This is corporate favoritism at its ugliest. If you don't fit neatly into their corporate vision, then one mistake and you're done. Pack your bags. Hit the bricks. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. This is exactly why fans are frustrated with modern wrestling. We're tired of watching genuine talents get buried while mediocre performers with the right look, or the right connections, get pushed to the moon regardless of their actions or the fan response. Jacob Fatu is more over with the fans than Drew McIntyre has ever been naturally. The crowd loves Jacob. They connect with him. They want to see him succeed. But none of that matters because he's not part of the predetermined plan. And let's address the elephant in the room, the double standard is glaring. Remember when Drew attacked Roman Reigns with a chair outside of a sanctioned match? Where was Nick Aldis then? Remember when Drew cost other wrestlers their matches by interfering? Where was the accountability? Remember when Drew put his hands on a WWE official? Why wasn't that a fireable offense? The answer is simple. Because the rules only apply when WWE wants them to apply, and they only apply to the wrestlers WWE is willing to sacrifice. This firing isn't about maintaining order or upholding standards, it's about sending a message. It's about reminding everyone in that locker room who's really in charge and who's expendable. Jacob Fatu just learned the hard way that being talented, being over with the fans, and being justified in your actions means absolutely nothing if you're not in the inner circle. What makes this even more infuriating is that Nick Aldis has the audacity to stand there and act like he's being some kind of fair and impartial authority figure. This is the same Nick Aldis who's turned a blind eye to countless violations by his favorite wrestlers. This is the same Nick Aldis who's allowed absolute chaos to reign on SmackDown as long as it benefits the storylines WWE wants to tell. But suddenly, now he wants to be the Law and Order GM. Now he wants to draw a line in the sand. Give me a break. The worst part is that WWE probably thinks they're being clever with this decision. They probably think they're creating some big storyline where Jacob Fatu comes back for revenge or gets reinstated after some emotional appeal. But here's what they don't understand: fans are smart now. We see through these manipulative storylines. We recognize when we're being worked into supporting something that fundamentally doesn't make sense just because it fits WWE's narrative. And let's talk about the timing of this firing. Right when Jacob Fatu was gaining serious momentum, right when the fans were starting to rally behind him, right when he was becoming a legitimate threat to WWE's established hierarchy, that's when they decide to pull the plug. This isn't coincidence. This is strategic. This is WWE eliminating someone who was becoming too popular on their own terms, someone who was getting over without following We's manufactured formula. Drew McIntyre should be the one facing consequences. Drew should be the one sitting at home thinking about his actions. But instead, he's probably getting a championship match next month while Jacob Fatu is looking for work. How is that justice? How is that fair? This is why. Because fans are tired of watching talented performers get punished for being too good at their jobs. We're tired of seeing cookie-cutter storytelling where only the chosen ones get opportunities. We're tired of corporate decisions overruling what the fans actually want to see. The fans wanted Jacob Fatu to destroy Drew McIntyre. The fans have been chanting for it. The fans have made it clear through their reactions, their social media engagement, their merchandise purchases, that they are invested in Jacob Fatu's success. But WWE doesn't care about what the fans want, they care about what they want, and if that doesn't align with the audience, too bad. Here's what should have happened. Nick Aldis should have called both Drew and Jacob into his office, acknowledged that tensions have been building, recognized that both men have crossed lines, and either suspended them both or created a proper match where they could settle their differences. That would have been fair. That would have made sense. That would have given the fans what they wanted while maintaining some semblance of authority. But instead, we get this one-sided, hypocritical nonsense that insults our intelligence and makes us question why we even bother investing our time and money into this product. WWE wonders why they lose viewers, why their ratings fluctuate, why fans get disengaged. This is why. Because you can't keep treating your audience like we're stupid. You can't keep making decisions that so obviously contradict your own established rules and expect us to just accept it. The firing of Jacob Fatu is a disgrace. It's a slap in the face to every fan who's been supporting him, every wrestler in that locker room who sees the blatant favoritism, and every person who believes that wrestling should be about merit, talent, and connection with the audience rather than backstage politics and corporate agendas. Nick Aldis just proved that he's nothing more than a puppet enforcing WWE's predetermined outcomes rather than an actual authority figure with integrity. This decision will go down as one of the most controversial and backwards moves in SmackDown history, and if WWE thinks this is going to work out in their favor, they're more delusional than we thought. The bottom line is this: Jacob Fatu deserves better. The fans deserve better. And wrestling as a whole deserves better than this corporate-controlled, double-standard-filled mess. If you're as angry about this as I am, sound off in the comments below. Let WWE know that we're not accepting this garbage anymore. Share this video everywhere, let's make our voices heard. And don't forget to subscribe because we're going to keep holding WWE accountable for every terrible decision they make. This is Ring Rumble 1, and we're just getting started.